Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me. It's Michael B. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Everything's working. I've had a little bit of a run of bad luck recently while streaming. A really bad luck. But after 3 tries this weekend, I finally got my PSVR 2 to work the way I wanted. So I finally got to stream that game after the 3rd attempt, and I did poorly. I've never played a Hitman game before, but it was a lot of fun. What's going on, Charlie? Chuck, good to see you. Sathius, only person who left a comment on my Hitman World of Hitman. Fourth Horseman, good to see you, brother. Sound is good. Jim the Pacers fan says that's what I'm talking about. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Dane Bramage, Gamer Fridge, good to see you, my man. Sounds good on this end. Is this Multicade Monday, and are you P-dubs? No, this is Michael B., the original Monday show, which was in existence long before Multicade Mondays was even a thing. What else we got here? I swear the Game Genie has the loudest intro music of any stream. That's what I go for, and if MG's watching, you goddamn know it. Streaming during the championship. What, the NCAA championship? Whatever. Happy Monday, everybody. It's like we are Canadians now, Stockjack. Goofyfoot, just because you drove for 3 hours to buy a Data East Jurassic Park doesn't make you a Canadian, brother. MSU Rich, good to see you. Ritual Dello, Jason S., Bill's Retro Gaming Show, quite the sharpshooter in Walkabout Mini Golf, by the way. Show Gecko, good to see you, my man. John J. Who else we got here? Sega, Sir Sega, yeah, wow, down to 606 Packers. We're going to talk about that Wonderland Amusements in just a little bit. There's a couple things about Wonderland I want to talk about. Things aren't looking good for Wonderland. Scott B says, just for fun, has Glenn's Kickstarter has started yet? We're going to talk about that as well. Lots of stuff going on. If I missed anybody, I greatly apologize. I see Mark James, GG is here. Midlife Arcade, my good man. That's what I'm talking about. Dennis B. Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock and roll. Corner Arcade is here as well. So, Garage Gamer says, any news on Iconic? There is absolutely no news on Iconic, unfortunately. Bobby won ALU. Mini Golf Hustler, he may be. I think it's all a ruse. So, right before the show started, I got my lightning quick shower like I always do Monday nights after finally getting the kids to bed. And before that, I went to make myself a cup of coffee and my Keurig died. So no coffee tonight. We're going with a little H2. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not the one that pisses P-dubs off. The one I got with my MetaQuest 2, they gave me like this cool basket when they sent the MetaQuest 2 out to me. Now this is just one of the various water bottles my wife and kids have. So, 19K Fox was pissed at Iconic and Bobby Vu last night. Why would anybody be mad at Bobby Vu? Bobby Vu's like the nicest guy in the world. I can understand being pissed at a product, 100%. Rody, what's going up? Well, this is the second one that's broke. This actually, we switch from a Keurig Elite, which is what we had, to just like one of these double Keurigs that's got a coffee pot and a coffee brewer. So that one broke. So we brought the Keurig Elite back up. Now that gave out. So I'm going to have to go to the store and buy a new Keurig tomorrow, unfortunately, but it is what it is. This shit happens, right? Only problem is I got no coffee for tonight, and coffee is, that's my wonder beverage. That's how I stay so animated, so happy. There we go. Sathia says, Michael B, do you plan on pre-ordering the Switch 2? Does a beer shit in the woods? Hey, what's going on, Nooner? Good to see you, my man. All right, guys, so lots to talk about tonight, even though we're at a very slow point in the home arcade community. Lots of shit keeps happening in the world that impacts the home arcade community. So I kind of wanted to talk about it tonight and talk about all the craziness that's going on and maybe a little bit of fun. So I know that, I remember this now. Bobby Boo was supposed to do the show with Fox and then backed out on him. Yes, now I remember. There you go. So, yeah, that's why you would be pissed. I would understand being pissed about that. I asked James to come on my show tonight to help me navigate these tariff waters because as a Canadian, I'm immediately looked at as a black sheep discussing U.S. tariffs. So I wanted to have some backup there of my good Republican, non-vaccinated, Tesla-owning friend, James Hates Everything. And I thought he would be able to navigate the waters for me, but he unfortunately could not make it. So we'll have to do this without him. Jason Little Alien, I don't think I mentioned you earlier. If I didn't, I forgot. Jason is so goddamn important to this community, man. He moderates every single channel on YouTube. Sometimes he moderates 3 to 4 videos all at the same time. And he actually went to the trouble to reorganize my Discord channel this past week to make it more enjoyable. Doug Wynn, what's happening, brother? So I don't know where I want to get started. I want to get started with kind of a lighter topic. We'll go into some of the heavier stuff in just a little bit. So first up, I want to talk about Pinball FX VR. I don't know how many people in the home arcade community are in fact down with the VR gaming, especially the MetaQuest 3. But if you have been paying attention, Pinball FX did release their Pinball FX VR last week. And the reception's been pretty good. Everybody I've talked to seems to love it. If you've been watching Brooklyn Menace, he's been streaming the shit out of it. If you've been watching my buddy Detroit Love, he's absolutely in love with it, putting up crazy scores on all kinds of tables. He's also doing the whole X Arcade thing with it. I still got to get around to doing that myself. He liked it so much, he canceled his Wonderland Kickstarter. And no matter what else Detroit Love tells you, the reason he canceled was because he fell in love with Pinball FX VR. That's okay, Jason. Sathia says he's been playing it. Real Zim's been playing it. Fourth Horseman has an important question, so I'm ready for it. Brooklyn Menace is here. Guys, if you want professional quality VR streaming, go check out Brooklyn Menace. If you want to see a guy continually try to choke his microphone while playing Hitman, I'm your dude. It is 100% why he canceled it. Any other reason is just not true. Stockjock says he found out that Jason Little Alien is actually a robot from the future. I can believe it. Well, Midlife Arcade, that's a really good comment, and we'll get back to that. So just give me a second, guys. I had some technical difficulties right when I was starting up the show. Of course, MG doesn't even comment on videos anymore. He just texts me while the show is going on. He couldn't be bothered with commenting. I mean, that's just too much work for MG. He'd have to get out of the recliner or something. So MG just texted me and he said he doesn't even bother cleaning the Keurigs. He just replaces them. And that's what I'm going to get to. Yeah, don't worry, Doug. We'll get to that in just a minute. We'll get to that in just a minute, but I got to bring this up, and I apologize, guys. I had everything ready, and then everything shut down on me because I'm a big douchebag. So here we go. Let me get this up. I do want to bring this up. A lot of people have been streaming, playing Pinball FX. A lot of reviews went out last week. But I don't like promoting other people because I'm an asshole. So I'm just going to pull up my video. Haven't seen it. Really, really friggin' good. So just need to get past the ads. Here is my take on it. This is me just walking around, showing off Pinball FX VR. And I really want to talk about the experience. Obviously, the experience in the arcade itself really comfortable. There's lots of fun things to do. You can collect tapes, play different tapes over the speakers. There's the store actually right within Pinball FX VR where you're going to be able to pick up new games. There's a dartboard. There's a dartboard for P-dubs to actually go check out. So, you can do all that stuff, but at the core, let me just fast forward the video a bit. It really comes down to the pinball playing, and this has been probably the biggest surprise for a lot of people, just how goddamn good the pinball is. One of the things about pinball and any kind of digital or virtual pin you're playing, usually there's not a lot of depth to it. You get to play pinball and it's cool because you're the digital version, but you don't really get the full experience. My buddy Pitbull, he always talked about this. He always said, "Can you see depth? Like when you look down at a pinball machine, they always say a pinball machine is a world under glass. If you look at a real pin, you can see different levels for the ramps. You can notice the depth of the game and how everything's working. And really, with Pinball FX in VR, that's the only experience where you can do that. The only problem is if you play the previous entries, I can't talk for Pinball FX 2, but I can talk for Pinball FX 3 Star Wars in VR. It was cool, but like it wasn't there yet. But I feel what they've done with Pinball FX VR is there. I mean, the tables look beautiful. They're not, photorealistic, but they are so good. They're done in that, Pinball FX graphics style. They look awesome, and they do have that level of depth. The physics are all good. There's no difference in physics between playing Pinball FX on your PC to playing it in the air. And it's one of the coolest experiences out there. And a lot of people, I'll put my ugly old self off the screen here now, so it's not confusing, but a lot of people are even enjoying building their own arcades, pinball arcades, in their basement with the machines from Pinball FX VR. I said it in my review, and I stand by this. Next to playing a physical pinball machine, this might be the best experience out there. So I'll go back on and show a little bit more footage. There's the Knight Rider table that Jason was making fun of me. He beat my score on earlier. I haven't played a ton of this in the last couple days. What? My audio's coming in and out. Stupid. Whenever I play video. So I'm going to remove this. Glug, 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 glug. How about now? I bet it's fixed now, right? How about now, fellas? Yeah. So, yeah, this is a constant issue I'm having where I'm going to have to restart my PC before I get going because whenever I show video and gameplay, no, I'm no better. Fix. That's what I like to hear. So, yeah, this is a consistent problem for some reason with this PC. Whenever I play video when I stream, it screws up like this. Maybe it's through StreamYard. I used to have a lot of problems with Restream for it. So, yeah, there we go. Those AOL discs. No, 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 no. I don't know what to say here. So, anyways, Pinball FX VR. It's been a. I'll try to recap what I said when it was screwing up. So, Pinball FX VR. It's been a very good experience so far. Like, it's so much better than previous installments of Pinball FX. Pinball FX 2, which I never played, so I really can't comment on. But Pinball FX 3, Star Wars, this is so much better. The graphics are crisper. In my opinion, there's a better selection of games, bringing in the Williams games. The physics are on point with what you would play on PC with Pinball FX. So if you like those physics, you're going to like it here. The machines aren't photorealistic to real machines, but they look really, really good. Done in the exact same graphics as Pinball FX. Overall, it's just a really good experience. It looks good, and it does something no other digital or virtual pinball experience will do. It allows you to get that sense of depth that you should have when looking at a pinball machine. So I said this in my review, and I will say this again now. I think this is, next to playing on a real pinball machine, probably the best experience out there for playing pinball at home. But there is one caveat to that. That I did mention in my review, and I just want to be clear about. Right now, there's no haptic feedback. That is a big bummer. Like, there's a lot of things that you'll get from playing like an at-home digital pin that you can add that aren't in Pinball FX. And one of them is the haptic feedback. So that's a big bummer. What people have been mentioning, of course, the experience through playing Pinball FX VR on the X Arcade. They're looking to increase that experience. It's not just going to be the flippers. They're looking to add a haptic feedback kit and a plunger. So that may amp up the experience quite a bit, but it would be nice if they could figure something out for Pinball FX as well. Also, like a physical nudge, like done like real pinball, will be a good thing. Like right now, you can do a forward nudge, it looks like, with your hands, but you can't really nudge left to right with your hands. You can only nudge by going forward, and then you can also nudge with the left stick, which is a bit of a weird experience. Outside of that, you're talking about an amazing experience. If you can handle playing pinball in VR, if you can handle being in VR, this may be the best way to experience pinball at home. All Eyes never once got a booster. That man is a total anti-vaxxer. Gamer Fridge has it. He's saying the AR mode with the X Arcade is the best way to play. Jason put 9 pinball machines in his game room in AR. Ballistic Coffee Boy, we will get to that in a minute. So the reason I wanted to bring this up was I was talking to P-Dubs, and P-Dubs finished playing Pinball FX VR for the first time last night. And a comment he came out with was, "Oh my God, I absolutely love this. I can't imagine touching my AtGames Legends Pinball 4K for a long time after experiencing that, because the experience is so much better." So it really got me thinking, if you're a person out there that's been on the fence, you want to experience digital pinball, like you don't want to, go buy a real machine and spend, as James says, $15,000. What path should you go down, and what's the better experience? So there's pros and cons to both. Obviously, the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K is a physical machine. So if you need that sense of feel, sense of touch in your house and using your own eyes, not relying on something providing a table to you, that's a really good option. Then we talk about haptic feedback, the surround sound feedback kit. That's an experience you do not get when you're playing Pinball FX VR. And then also there's the game library in Pinball FX VR right now. I think there's only 6 and then 5 tables. So there's only like 11 tables for you to experience. But with the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K, you have every Zen table they've released so far, all the Zachariah tables, all the Gottlieb tables, plus all the AtGames release tables. And if you're lucky enough to be in the VPX standalone beta, let's just say the number of tables you can experience on this machine is unlimited almost. It's basically everything that's out there that you can put your hands on. So those are the benefits to getting the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. What are the benefits to doing the Meta Quest? One, if you tell me I don't really have room for a pinball machine, obviously the Meta Quest fixes that. If you don't want to spend as much money, because let's be honest, an AtGames Legends Pinball, if you're going to do it right, is about $1,500, while a Meta Quest 3 is about, I think, $499 for the 3, and then it's a little bit cheaper for the 3S. So you're trading off that way. And then, like I said, the experience on the Quest may actually be better than the experience of playing on the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. So it's an interesting thing. I know my buddy 19K Fox, he just went out, finally dropped the money. He picked up an AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. He's absolutely in love with it. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe like how much I'm having fun with this. Really like my purchase." And I felt terrible because then like a couple days later, Pinball FX VR comes out and I'm like, well, you probably could have saved some money, Foxy. So I don't know. I think there's pros and cons to both. I mean, I'm living in a very lucky place where I already have an AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. I have real pinball, 2 machines downstairs, 2 Stern machines, and I have the MetaQuest 3 and Pinball FX VR. So I get the best of all worlds. And my advice, if you can afford it, why not do it all? I mean, pinball's fucking awesome. So the more ways you can play pinball and experience it, the absolute better. But if you're limited on what you want to play, depending on what your situation is, I'm going to be honest with you. I really think Pinball FX VR may be a better experience than playing on an AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. That's my guess. MG and got them all free. That's not true. I did not get my MetaQuest 3 for free. That's not true. And I did not get my Stern pinballs for free. I paid for both of them. I do appreciate that you are using, this is an actual picture of MG, what he looks like playing VR. See, James hates everything. He agrees with me. I'm gonna ask you guys a question now. If you have played any of the three, or the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K and Pinball FX VR, put a 1 in the chat if you think Pinball FX VR is a better experience, and put a 2 in the chat if you prefer playing on your AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. Let me know. Oh, the Pinball Map app is fantastic, unless you live in Newfoundland, when it helps you in no conceivable way. Oracle Miata says 2. Brooklyn says 1. Zero Redux says 1. Zim says 1. Jason S says 1. James says 1. Foxbot 19 says 2. JJ says there's no way VR pinball trumps virtual pinball on a pinball table like the AtGames. No freaking way. I'm serious, man. Play it. 1 + 2. Al Evickman says. Sathia says 1. Jason is sticking with pinball, the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. P-Dub smoked you in the VR leaderboards. Well, Scott, I appreciate that. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but thanks for bringing it up. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you. Ballistic Coffee Boy says he's fine with his original. Oh, man, I wish. I won't be getting out anywhere for a little bit, unfortunately. Fourth Horseman says that's good because nobody will be buying a 4KP after tariff increases. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, P-Dubs, once he got in there, he hit the ground running, man. He's been putting up some awesome scores. Absolutely. I found originally with my Quest 2, I did get motion sickness at time, but mainly it came because like what me and my daughter and family were doing a lot, we were playing epic roller coasters, and I found with the lenses on the Quest 2, I did get a little bit of motion sickness on this, but switching to the pancake lenses fixed everything for me. And also after spending time with the PSVR 2, because they have the Fresnel lenses, I think they're called, the same one that the Quest 2 has. Yeah, I'm kind of used to it now. So, I mean, there you go. No, prices haven't gone up at all. Well, it depends on what you want it for, Pinball Junkies. Like, honestly, PSVR 2 has worse lenses, but is an overall more powerful experience. But the Quest 3, Pinball FX VR, is not available anywhere else but on the Quest 3. So if you want to play Pinball FX VR, that's the only game in town. And I do like the lenses better, but you got to keep in mind it's a standalone headset. It doesn't have the power of a PC or a console connected to it. Although with the Quest 3, you can, connect to your PC and play it that way too. Jason says he gets the occasional bad vertigo, but haven't had one episode in the last 3 months. There you go. So this is going to be subjective, Jim Harper, but I prefer the remakes of the original tables. Like I have fun going in. Battlestar Galactica is fun. Knight Rider's the best of the Zen original tables, But then you go over to the Williams side, and it's just like all hits, no misses. So you've got Adam's Family, Twilight Zone, Indiana Jones, Pinball Adventure, World Cup Soccer, and Star Trek The Next Generation. And they're all absolutely fantastic. And my favorite of those, Twilight Zone. That's what I want to play every single time I go in there. If I've got a couple minutes where I got nothing going on my quest, I'm playing Twilight Zone. Am I putting up the best scores? Nah, of course not. I don't claim to be the best pinball player in the world. Hell, I still don't even nudge most times, but I have a lot of fun. Oh yeah, it's super easy. I've done it a bunch of times and it worked really well, even though my internet is so shitty. I can't stream a video at the same time as I'm streaming out to you guys. So there you go. But yeah, I've played Half-Life, what is it, Alex, which James Hates Everything actually streamed, I think, like super early this morning. So I've played Half-Life Alex through it. I've played Oblivion, not Oblivion, the one with the dragons. Oh, I can't believe Elder Scrolls 5. I've played it like 6 times. Can't believe I don't remember. That's right, Glenn. At least I have audio. Skyrim. Thank you very much, Novasonic. I played Skyrim VR through it. I played a couple other games, and yeah, the experience is actually really, really good. So no concerns there. I'm gonna stop sharing because that just screwed everything up. You're getting straight talking tonight, boys. So I don't know. Like it's weird. I think like it all depends on what you want. Like some people prefer to have that physical digital box in front of them and have the SSF kit, have that feeling. But like if you're trying to save money and you don't have a lot of space, honestly, man, you can do some cool shit with Pinball FX VR. You can get, and you don't even need to get a Quest 3. Like Detroit Love is playing on a Quest 2. So you don't even have, you can go out and buy a used Quest 2 and pick up Pinball FX VR. I don't think you guys will be disappointed. So World Cup Soccer is absolutely amazing. Every Williams game on it is a complete hit. There's not a stinker on there. There's no junkyard. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from the junkyard people, but yeah, there you go. So yeah, when it comes down to the AtGames Legends Pinball or the Pinball FX VR, yeah, that's kind of where I stand. I think the better experience overall, closer to real pinball, is there, but you get so much more with the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K, but you're also paying more. So keep that stuff in mind. Quest shaming Detroit Love. Detroit Love's an odd dude, man. Like we were talking about the Switch 2 on Super Game Room Dudes the other day, and he's like, I got a Switch. I don't need to buy another one. And I was like, what are you talking about? You can't play any of the modern games. And he's like, doesn't matter. I'm just going to play Tiger Woods 2000. Ah. See, I knew people would give me shit about not liking junkyard. There it is. I'm serious, guys. For those of you that are doubting it, like if you play at the AtGames Legends Pinball and you like it, like no question about it. Like it is fantastic. I love the AtGames Legends Pinball 4K. I will never say it's a bad investment. Like it is amazing. And I just started doing the standalone VPX. You've probably seen in a couple videos. I've had Elvira scared stiff in the background, not even connected to a PC. And I'm playing VPX. Like it is an amazing machine that you can do cool shit with. But when it comes down to the core pinball experience, there's nothing quite like being able to get that depth, being able to see that world under glass. Really, guys, go check it out. If there's some way to do it, like if you got a friend with a MetaQuest headset that has Pinball FX VR, trust me, guys, go check it out. It's worth the experience. It is fantastic. That's all I want to say on that. So it's interesting. Like it's an interesting debate what you want to get, what pinball experience you want to have. And it's cool that we live in a time and an age where there's so many friggin' options. That's what I want to say. Nice. Good score. Yeah, everybody's loving the mixed reality, being able to put these pinball machines in your space and like have this virtual arcade in your house appear before your eyes. Everybody's absolutely loving that. So, moving away from that topic, we'll get into some more of the more difficult and maybe frustrating conversations now, because I do want to move on to the Nintendo Switch 2, and I can't show any video because that completely fried everything in the entire world. So that sucks. Uh, yeah, that's how I'm rocking, man. Except I'm not rocking with one stern. I'm rocking with two sterns. I'm Mikey Two Pins. I got a Jurassic Park Premium and a Godzilla Premium. So that's how I'm rocking and rolling now. Sin Studios is building Star Killer Base. What can go wrong? I'm telling you right now, I am so happy with Pinball FX VR. And the only concern I have with it long term is if you go back and you look at what Zen Studios have done with VR in the past, it's been really limited. Like they came out with Pinball FX2, which had a really limited release window. Same thing with Star Wars Pinball. So I'm hoping that Pinball FX VR isn't just these games, because going back to benefits of the AtGames Legends Pinball 4KP again, going back into that conversation, going backwards now, that has Medieval Madness. That has Attack from Mars. Enough said. Pinball FX VR doesn't have that yet. And until it does, well. All right. So Brooklyn sent me a pic in Facebook to show me what MR table looks like in his home. If you guys haven't seen it yet, let me just bring this up. Hopefully this doesn't crash my shit. Who knows sometimes. Really got to start resetting my PC and router before I go live. Brooklyn wanted to show this off. So this is his arcade. I love that brick wall. He's got a couple of arcades set up there that he's playing on. And there is the Battlestar Galactica pinball in MR in his home. How friggin' cool is that? Yeah, that's right, Stock Jock. 100%. I know, right? Like it does. Like if you've ever had a real pinball in your home, like it is massive. But yeah, this is kind of cool shit you can do with Pinball FX VR, right? I always get bad lighting, even though I see good lighting. I don't know how it is. So, anyways, guys, just 1 second. I gotta see what's going on here. I'm having a little bit of a problem. 1 second, friends. I'm getting messages from somebody. I got to try to fix something now. There we go. There you go, MG. AtGames made a rare post. When? Today? You guys are shitting me, right? Hold on here now. Stop sharing. When did AtGames make a rare post? What are you guys talking about? I'm going to go check this out. Oh, it's not news. Good. Good. It's not news. All right. So moving on. Next up, I did want to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. So, I've covered this in detail on my channel, talked about what I liked, what I didn't like of what we saw from the presentation. But one thing we didn't get from the presentation, we only found out afterwards, was the pricing. It's one of those weird things where they do this presentation, it's all hype, it's all excitement. We're getting this new console that has been fantasized about for a very long time, one we're super excited for. And then the presentation ends and other news comes out and you find out, holy shit, this thing's going to be $449, $500 with Mario Kart World Tour. Then we find out the price of the game's $80 US, $79.99 US. So over $100 Canadian for Mario Kart World Tour, for Kirby, the new Kirby Switch Edition, and like some of the other Switch Edition games like Mario Party Jamboree. And I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of the pricing? Like, it's been interesting watching online of the whole gaming community go back and forth on this. Like, some people try to justify it. They're like, I think the pricing is fine. Did you know back in 1985, a Nintendo was $199 and adjusted for inflation today, that would cost $763. So $499 for a Switch for the game seems like a good price. And, that makes sense if you want to look at it that way, but that's not the way video games work, and that's not the way gamers typically work. So I'll ask you guys right now, put a 1 in the chat if you're happy with the pricing model. Very confusing and crazy pricing model from Nintendo. If you're happy with the price of the console, the price of the games, put a 1 in the chat. If you're unhappy, put a 0. I want to see what you guys think. Yes, MG, I know that's not how inflation works, but I want to come out and show you a different side of things. Look at this. Billy Woods Mod, 0. Foxbot, 0. RealZim, 0. Fourth Horseman says he's perfectly fine with $4.99. Scott B says 1. Chris says 0. Jason says 1. 1. Shogeko says 0. Parts were a lot more expensive back to making the 80s too. That's true. MG says 1. T Slayer says 1. Of course, MG says 1. He's rich. He's got like a 100-inch TV just sitting in his garage with nothing to do. T Slayer says 1. Gamer Fridge says 0. Jim the Pacer fan says 0. Mark James says 1. Greaser 1 says 0. Doug Wynn says 1. My take, I'm going to get the Switch 2. B Kirby says 1. Stockjack says 1. Cybersile says 1. So yeah, a lot of people are all over the place. Some people are totally fine with it. Other people are a little bit more irritated with it. I've said this for years. If tariffs take over, I'll ship to you and get at Expo. See, that's the smart play, because we won't get impacted by the same tariffs. Like Scott understands it. Thank you very much for the super chat. So rich on MG no pins. $449 is cheaper than the PS5 at launch, and that was pre-inflation. I would say that's an apples to oranges conversation right there, because that's a completely different animal. 100%. People seem to forget this. They're always like, man, it's $449 for a console. No, it's $449 for a handheld that docks. Never forget that. The Switch is not a console. It's a handheld. I will argue till I'm dead in the ground on that. Switch is a handheld. Now, if you want to argue that, well, the Steam Deck OLED was X amount of dollars, I agree. The Steam Deck OLED was overpriced. Yeah, I think for me, the biggest problem isn't so much the console price. Like, we were expecting like $399. So $449 isn't that much of a jump. So I'm actually totally fine with the console price. I'm 100% fine with that. What strikes me as odd is the jump in price. So you've got a game like Mario Kart World Tour, and I'm not saying, obviously it's Mario Kart World Tour. It's going to be fantastic. I have no questions about quality for the game, but the price on it it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's quite the jump. Like, I remember when games jumped up to $89 here, which is, kind of the norm right now for first party PlayStation 5 games. They've been jumped up to the $89.99 mark here in Canada. I don't know how much they are in the US, but the only Nintendo game that jumped up to $89.99 was The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I was like, all right. So it's fine. I mean, I'm totally fine with that, but jumping up to $80 US, $110 Canadian, I don't know, man. It feels like we're only like 5-6 years removed from games being $59.99 Canadian and US. I know it's been longer than that, but it seems like quite the stark increase in price. And a lot of it could be there's new game chips and they cost more money, so this is just a real cost for them or whatever. I don't understand it. Nintendo's greedy as fuck, man. This Nintendo Switch 2 tour game that they've got coming out, the fact that this isn't a free game blows my absolute mind. I have no idea. Chaotic, good to see you, my man. Yeah, I'm gonna get Metroid Prime 4. I'm gonna get the Switch 2 version. Hey, thanks, man. N64 for life. Games shouldn't be higher than 70. So I do want to talk about a bit of a weird thing here. So games, you talk about inflation and stuff like that. Consoles have never really worked with inflation. That's why I brought up the comment earlier. Like, you can't compare inflation to consoles because they've never really followed that path. It's always like consoles come out at the price that gamers are going to be acceptable with. PCs are a completely different animal, but consoles have always come out within a price range. A lot of times they're loss leaders because companies know they're going to make their money back on the software. So they come out at a particular price that we're accustomed to. Sometimes we're okay with the increase, sometimes we're not. And it does impact the console because if you remember, when the PlayStation 3 launched initially, it was the highest priced console on the market and it had super limited availability at the beginning. And really, a lot of people kind of shied away from the PlayStation 3 at first. People were happy with their Xbox 360s until there was tons of red rings of death. But that was a misstep. You look back at the Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn came out, and I think they announced they were going to be like $4.99 or $5.99 at E3 that year, and then PlayStation just walks up and goes $2.99, and everybody went nuts because it was something they were comfortable with. So we're in an era right now with consoles. Like I just paid $1,000 for a PS5 Pro. So maybe we're in a different era, but if you look back historically at how games and stuff like that worked over the years, consoles have always been within an acceptable reach. We might be in a different generation now, but a lot of gamers have been attuned and accustomed to that for years. So when you see a major increase between what the Switch 1 cost to the Switch 2, it does catch people a little bit off guard. Again, people were expecting $3.99, $4.99, $4.49. Not that huge jump. I don't think that's that big a deal. But games, holy fuck, man. $20 increase really in Switch games is what you're looking at there. You're going from most Switch games, I think, in the US, I could be wrong about this, but they were still $59.99. So jumping up to $80 is a massive increase. So there you go. Well, that's the hey, I'll hear it. That's enough bad talk about the Saturn. It might have been completely underpowered Billy Woods mods. I will tell you, it was also super difficult to program for. So yeah. But this time, no way. I'll keep my regular Switch. I've been saying that for years, Chaotic. But for some reason, companies refuse to do it. And you know what's even more fucked up? You know what's even more messed up than that? If games go on sale on digital, like every now and then you get amazing deals from games going on sale on digital. Like I picked up some stuff on Steam for like $5. But you know what's cracked? Is a lot of times like a game could be out, like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. That game's been out for like what, 7 years now, 8 years. If you go to pick it up on Steam, still on sale. It's like $39.99. Here's the thing. What the digital companies, reason why companies prefer digital, obviously they don't have to pay to actually physical make the games. They don't have to pay Walmart to put it on store shelves. But here's the thing. Walmart and store shelves and stock not moving is one of the biggest reasons we got sales on games. When something becomes a digital, that problem goes away. And then companies can just leave their shit up there forever. You want Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, pay $40. Yeah, but it's a 7-year-old game. Too bad. Pay $40. So don't buy digital. Like I agree with that. Although I don't agree with MG. He's a big fan of limited run games. I would be a big fan of limited run games if they could get their shit out on time. Yes, Jamie, we're all aware of that. Some Switch games are 80s, some are going to be more expensive. Well, Scott, you are awesome at this because you were giving me my transition to the next topic I wanted to talk about. And thank you very much for the super chat. Speaking of increases, what do you think will happen with my Black Hole, Golden Tee Trackball, and Crystal Castles pre-orders? New Wave Toys should pay interest. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Thank you very much for the super chat, my man. So I did want to bring one last thing on the Switch conversation. Like, despite the games being expensive, despite really not that exciting a game lineup for launch, yeah, I'm going to buy everything because I'm a super fanboy. And this is how Nintendo gets away with that. They're fucking Nintendo. Like, if this was another company, I'd probably just pass and not get it. But it's Nintendo. So I applaud all you guys out there that are sticking to your laurels and saying, no, I think it's too expensive. I don't like the cost of the games. I don't like what they're doing with digital purchases. I'm not going to buy. I applaud all of you on that. Me, I'm an easy mark. I'm going to buy it. April 9th, it goes up for pre-order here in Canada. I know because of the differences with the tariffs, it's not going to go up for pre-order in the US on April 9th anymore. I'm going to place my pre-order right away. I'm getting a Switch 2. I'm buying a GameCube controller. I'm all in. Despite all the issues I have with the pricing, they got me. And that's how they keep getting away with this stuff, is because of idiots like me. Exactly. It's not much of a launch. But then again, let's look back on some other launches. I remember day one getting my PlayStation 2. And at the time, I think I got NHL. Oh, what was that game? NHL with Owen Nolan on the cover. And then the other game I got was, Summoner. Summoner. So didn't have the best lineup right out of the gate. Yeah, that's the other thing we talked about. PW weren't involved in this, but we had a big conversation on my Discord earlier about our next topic. Like, everything's getting more expensive. I'm okay with it. Like, obviously, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I don't think I'm buying anything this year. Like, all the home arcade products and stuff like that, I think I'm good. I don't think I'm going to pick anything up because of rising costs, uncertainty of tariffs coming from US for US based products. Yeah, I think I'm good. That's why I bought Jurassic Park Pinball, and I got a ton of games to play. So it's not necessarily a bad thing either. Well, unless that's updated, Brian, I don't know what's going on because that's the next topic I want to talk about. So moving on, last topic is something we had a big, long conversation about in my Discord earlier today, and something I wanted to touch on. It's the centerpiece of my thumbnail for tonight's video, and it's the fact that right now in the US, there is a budgeting trade war going on. Obviously, the US feels that people are not being fair with them. I don't really want to get into the political side of it because I'm Canadian. So, you're obviously going to see my point is biased. So I don't really want to get into the politics of it all. I don't want to argue whether or not tariffs are good or bad, any of that shit. I just want to talk about the reality of the fallout. So right now, what's happening, things are going back and forth towards Japan. I think Japan or China already had tariffs in place. The US imposed their own tariffs. Then China retaliated with tariffs. And now the US is threatening to retaliate further with 100% tariffs and then cut off all negotiation. The problem with that is most of the shit that we buy in the home arcade community, most of it is produced in China. So it's going to have some major impacts. Like, I was talking to Glenn, my buddy Glenn Planamento. Canada Mike B have been ripping retro gamers for years. Pay up, Mike B. Depends on who you ask. I'm not arguing whether Canada's put tariffs on you, Ray. Like, everybody's put tariffs on everybody. The one thing I will say is we had the North American Free Trade Agreement. When Donald Trump was in office the first time, he said, this agreement's no good. Let's do a new agreement. That he did in his first term. Then when he came back in his second term, he said, the old deal sucked. I don't know who signed it. He did. It was his agreement. So anyways, regardless of all that, the way tariffs work is it sucks. I mean, 0 for 0 should be the way it is. People trade based on the value of their commodities, and if there's a deficiency there, like a trade deficiency, that's because of the cost of goods and not because of tariffs. So that's the way it should be, in my opinion. But anyways, the tariff thing, going back to China, he's now threatening 100% tariffs, and the impact of that is not so much on the consumer, but it's actually will eventually make it to the consumer. It's on the companies. So I talked to Glenn Planamento earlier today, and we did talk about like the tariff situation and what's happening now. Glenn was already working on things because of the tariffs with stuff coming in from China, because that's who it impacts. It impacts businesses and, small business like Glenn. I mean, there's no way he can eat the impact of that tariff. So Glenn is trying to make sure he gets to his promise of selling his machine for under $1,000. So right now, if there is additional tariffs and they can't work out some kind of agreement, like an additional 50%, like what is being, thrown out there right now, that could have a major impact on Glenn's FU. I know Glenn, he's not going to go back on his promise. He's not going to try to sell it for as much as it costs, but his costs for building the machine are basically going to double. And then what's going to happen with that is those costs have to be passed on to somebody. I know Glenn's plan is, I'll just wait. And Glenn has the luxury to do that because Glenn hasn't started his Kickstarter yet. So Glenn can wait until all this is sorted out. But what about other companies that already have their product out in the wild? People have already prepaid for their product. Of course, I'm talking about the two products I did put on the thumbnail, Iconic Arcade. Iconic Arcade has pre-orders out there. They sold their Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha Iconic Arcades, $5.99 US and $9.99 Canadian. Those were sold before the initial tariffs went into place. So you already had to wonder, were there redundancies in place, contingencies in place to eat some of that cost on the increased tariffs because their machines are being made in China. But now that their costs have as much as doubled, what happens there? And that's the question, because do they honor the initial price or do they have to notify you guys, unfortunately, we have to increase the cost of this, or you can choose to cancel? That's the kind of question that's coming out there. The exact same with the Wonderland 2 pinball Wonderland Amusements, Alice Goes to Wonderland. That Kickstarter is out in the wild. Now, it's only for about, I think, 600 backers. So it's only 600 machines, and they have retail coming up. They can save themselves on the retail. But, for those 600 people that either paid $800 or $850, the price of that machine just jumped up again astronomically. Another 50% costs on top of what it costs to actually make it. So what happens to these companies? Like both, Iconic Arcade's a bit of a different situation. They're owned by Lenovo, so massive company within a company. Maybe they can eat the cost, but like a smaller company like Wonderland Amusements, can they afford to eat those costs? So that's the question. If these extra tariffs go in place, what happens there? Now, obviously, Scott mentioned earlier, what happens to my New Wave Toys pre-orders? And that's very interesting as well, because you guys bought some of these like a fucking year ago, if not more. I think the Golden Tee pre-order went up like a year ago for the Golden Tee and the Golden Tee deck. It was May of last year because I was in Calgary at the time. So yeah, it's almost been a year since you pre-ordered that. What happens then? Because New Wave Toys, again, where's their product made? In China. So obviously, when they sold these, the initial tariffs weren't taken into consideration. And now these additional potential tariffs could be taken into consideration. What happens with New Wave Toys? Do they just deliver their product at a loss? How does that work? I mean, that's the crazy thing right now. This is going to impact every home arcade company that produces their materials in China. And if their cost as much as double, how does that impact us? We could have cancellation of products. We could have delays in products, like Glenn mentioned, he might do with his FU if that's done. Or we could have, companies having to make major changes. Like one of the things Iconic Arcade said, they're going to retool the product. Maybe they're going to make the product with cheaper parts so they don't lose their shirts on it. That's a possibility. Or maybe New Wave Toys has to do that too. That's not really their MO. That's not something they've done in the past. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. P-Dub says, if New Wave Toys tries to collect more money on products I paid for and been waiting for over a year, cancel my order. Scott B says the same thing. Uh, prices will have to go up. Like, that's the reality. This is the reality of tariffs. Like, yes, they bring in money for the country, but they don't bring in more money for you, the consumer. They make the products you want to buy more expensive. A lot of companies are already leaving China the last few years. Yes, Brian G, we did talk about that. One of them is Apple, and we were talking about this in my Discord earlier too. Apple actually left and went. Where was it? Was it Taiwan? Hold on now, and let me just double check. 1 second. Uno momento. Just doing my research. And by research, I mean things friends told me. That's the same thing, right? Vietnam, that's where it is. So, but those countries have tariffs implied as well. So, yeah, I don't know how it happens. Like, the idea is obviously the tariff war is obviously to make sure that there's fair trade between the two countries. That's what they're trying to do. The U.S. feels that the trade economics between them, because of their global superpower, and the other countries, the countries have been taking advantage for them. So they're trying to get, like, a better trade agreement. Or, one of the things that Donald Trump has always said, he's looking to bring industry back to the U.S. So industry might force the hand of these companies to stop, manufacturing out of China. The reality is, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, even with 100% tariffs, it would still be cheaper to actually make the products over in China than it would be to make it in the US, to open up a plant or use a plant and use American workers because of the cost difference. Like, all of this sucks, man. Yes, everybody tariffs everybody, Ray. It's not like the US was just sitting there and being like, what's going on, guys? Why are you tariffing us? Like, you were already tariffing people too. And that's the other side of it, Scott B, that we talked about earlier. Say, for example, like, it does mean that companies move back to the US. That doesn't mean that when they move back to the US, there's going to be a drop in price, because I'll tell you right now, prices never go down. We noticed that with Arcade One Up. We all saw that Arcade One Up crying poor. They were like, oh, shipping's so expensive and wood's so expensive, so hard to get microchips. After COVID, everything's going to go back to normal. It didn't. They just kept raising the prices. Companies, for some reason, don't like going backwards unless they're in trouble. So, you know, when they come home, there's reality. There's a huge cost at home, because what they can pay workers over in China compared to what people in the US or in Canada, anywhere else, you know, what they expect to be paid is a massive difference. Your manpower increases drastically. I don't know, Nooner. I have no idea. Yeah, see, that's the thing, no one really knows, right? Like, when the factories do come back, if, say, for example, like AtGames, for example, AtGames said, "Holy shit, man! Like, these tariffs are killing us. We need to make our products in the U.S." Like, in order for them to build a factory to do it, it would take years. The hope would be to already find somebody with the skill set, because, like, AtGames doesn't have their own fucking factory. Arcade One Up doesn't have their own factory. These guys subcontract these projects to factories that are already set up. Like no one's actually building their own product, I don't think. Maybe AtGames is, but Arcade One Up doesn't. They're just like Factory Z over there. Yeah, how much would it cost you to make us 3,000 Tron cabinets? Oh, that's a good deal. Okay, we'll use you. So that's the really sad thing that's going on here, JJ. And like again, I don't want to argue good or bad, but like the effect that like the tariffs are having on Foxconn is the factory that makes AtGames products. Here he comes. 19K Fox. But Americans need jobs more than cheap products. I will get a little bit political because 19K Fox is my buddy. So let's pretend this is his after show. How much do you think they're willing to spend? Like, do you think there's a bunch of Americans that are just sitting home and they're like, I will totally go work for like the absolute minimum wage? Do you think that's the problem? That there's just not enough minimum wage jobs? Because these factory jobs aren't good jobs. They're not, live a good life job. They're minimum wage jobs that nobody wants to do. So I don't know how it will improve people's day-to-day lives. Like if they're good jobs like that people can live on and change their lives, awesome. That is fucking amazing. That is exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to create industry that improves the overall lives of everybody. But if you just open up a factory where people are getting paid minimum wage, it's very few people that are going to do that. They're just like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like, yeah, I can't comment any further than that. Making widgets in a factory is minimum wage. I thought so. Like I had a friend of mine, Chris, who you might have met at he was at Cleveland with me. And I mean, he was working in a factory for years making like um what was it? He was making parts for like NASCAR. Now he was doing okay, but like not amazing. But like that was still a good job for him at the time. Like he's got on to a much better job now. But like, do you imagine what the cost would be like for at games if like they had to compete with other factory workers to get people in for skilled labor? Like, whoa, my 17-year-old son has to start somewhere. Just put him in the coal mines, Fox. That's totally fine. Anyways, let's not get too political on this. The focus is on, you can argue whether the tariffs are good or bad, all that stuff. I want to keep staying on the focus. If at the end of the day, there's a reality we need to understand in the home arcade community, most of these products that we buy are in fact not made in the US. They're made overseas. Like it won't be that bad for me. I mean, like if I'm ordering directly from overseas because I'm in Canada. Canada has Canada doesn't have the same tariff structure. So, like the Nintendo Switch, I'm gonna pay 629 for my Switch without Mario Kart World, or I'll pay 699 Canadian because our money is absolutely dreadful. It's not worth anything. I'm gonna pay that on the 9th and pre-order my system. But depending on how these things go with you guys and the tariffs with China, all that stuff, you might have to pay more. Like we talked about that price earlier. That may not be done because if additional tariffs go in place, that price might go up again. So keep that in mind. Yes, some do. And that is awesome. If those people get those jobs, like I mentioned, my friend Chris, he made pretty good money. Not amazing, but pretty good money. But then what happens to the cost of products? Again, because I don't really care about the politics of everything. I care about the cost of everything. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. That's not true. Switch is 629 Canadian. No, I didn't, Sathius. Did not at all. Anyways, guys, Yeah, and there's reality to that. And here's the thing, I support that. Like, honestly, I would rather every country worked in their own factory. I will tell you, I was on the other side of the equation a couple of years ago before I had my current job. Working at a not-for-profit organization where I am now, I was on the other side of the spectrum because we actually worked at a call center. Hey, Mike Dalton, Mike movie star. Everybody say a huge congratulations to Mike Dalton. Mike's actually going to be in a movie coming up now. It's called Skeet. His brother actually made a movie. Mike stars in it. You guys probably know my buddy Mike Dalton. He's a used to be a huge iArcade fan. He owned every iArcade. He's going to be in a movie. Say congrats to Mike for me, man. It would make me very happy. That's the conversation we were trying to have. Like, it'd probably cost like $3K if it was made here instead of in Vietnam. Not a joke. It really is called Skeet. I'll try to share something about it. It's going to have a limited release, but it's really cool. Of course, Mike. I'm so proud of you. And on top of that, there was a show here called, oh, what was the name of the show with the dog, Mike? But anyways, Mike used to have two physical pinball machines. Before I was Mikey Two Pins, he was Mikey Two Pins. He had a Star Wars Episode 1, and he also had, was it a Williams Fireball? I can't remember. But he actually sold one of his pinball machines to Turner and Rex. Is that what it is? Hudson and Rex. The TV show Hudson and Rex. And one of his pinball machines appeared in a TV show. So Mike is always having brushes with fame, let me tell you. So anyways, guys, before I go, because I've gone on too long and I did get political when I didn't really mean to, so I apologize. Always so hard. But at the end of the day, like, there's a reality that, you saw 19K Fox say last night, like, he's kind of done. He's going to focus on, like, not buying Arcade One Up and focus on other products. I'm kind of in the same space right now, like, where I'm, I obviously already laid this out. I bought the pinball machine because I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to get anything this upcoming year. We'll have to wait and see how all the tariffs and everything impact. And I got a feeling with the price increases, a lot of people are probably going to feel the same way. Like, I'm not saying to go out and cancel anything because nothing's for sure, right? So I'm not saying go out and cancel Wonderland, although a lot of people have. I think they did a good recovery with that video showing off the gameplay and stuff like that. There's no other way to say it. WonderCon was a nightmare, but I thought getting that information out there early was a good thing. So there you go. I don't know why you think we're still friends, 19K Fox. I don't know where the hell you're getting that. Of course, buddy. That's the best thing about this. We don't need to be enemies for having differing opinions or differing values. No one needs to be enemies. We can all just have, like, pleasant disagreement discussions where behind people's back we call them really stupid. I'm just joking. The one great thing about Fox, I'll always say, when we had arguments sometimes, like I was on his after show one time, which is it's a complete right-wing mess. But anyways, when I was on his after show, we or it might have been in a group call. We had a really good conversation, and like he gave me a lot of really good points, but at no point did he make an actual argument. Yeah, that's the thing, GG. Like AtGames kind of said it to us, and we were all saying, "Oh, they're hitting us with FOMO pricing," but they saw the writing on the wall. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinions. Opinions are people's opinions, man. They're 100% entitled to it. 100%. Buy stuff. I would love to know what's going on with you guys and how the tariffs are going to affect your shit. I know early on you guys were rushing to get stuff out. I don't know how the US tariff works. I know here in Canada, it's a fucking nightmare for stuff because the Canadian government imposed a 25% tariff on like home arcade machines, and we're still unclear how that works coming from the US. I know in the pinball realm, it's going to be bad, really bad. So I don't know how that all stuff's going to work. Well, that's the one good thing. I don't think your house value is going to collapse. The real estate market is usually very stable. Like that's one thing, MG. Like there's very few dips in the market. Like there was like a 10-year gap around the Great Depression, but usually house prices always go up unless they don't. I don't want to work at all. I'm so busy lately. It's crazy. And now my coffee maker's broke and I am fucked. Absolutely fucked. Yeah, that's the thing. Like we talked about with pinball. Like right now, Dungeons and Dragons from Stern and maybe Evil Dead will be the last games coming into Canada that won't get hit with the massive tariffs. We think so. Like what the pinball companies have been saying, like the new distributors, they're like, yeah, after this, all bets are off. But anything currently in stock, we'll sell it for that. So yeah, no, I have people for that. People in Indonesia. I'm good. Add 25% and it's no longer that appealing. Well, see, the thing is, it's coin operated machines. We don't know if Iconic is actually going to hit with that. And the thing about Iconic, for me here in Canada, like we said in a minute, why there may be trouble, that's already pre sold. I can literally go and pre order one tomorrow for $9.99. I'm locked in at that price. And then they either have to honor it or they have to refund me my money or give me an option to cancel and raise the price. So that's one of the ones you're kind of good with, right? Like there's no way these companies come back and then ask you for more money. It's like that episode of The Office, Michael Scott Paper Company. He's like, yeah, so you got your order, everything's good. Yeah, we're gonna have to offer you more. We're gonna have to ask you for a little bit more money. Why would we bend the knee? Like, why do you think we have to, Ray? I don't want to argue with you, but I think you've been grossly misled about our dependence on the US. That is the hard one. That is going to be a difficult, like, we may bend the knee when it comes to negotiations and stuff like that, like, depending on who gets in. But China, I mean, China's going to be a tough one. Like, you're not going to get them. They're never going to be part of your country. But in terms of working out the tariff agreement, that one's going to be tough. I agree with you. Anyways, guys, tumultuous show. Tumultuous. Uh anyways, just be careful out there. Stuff's coming with these tariffs. I'm hoping that the US and China can figure this shit out. And I saw an article about the European Union came back with an offer and said, let's do 0 for 0. We'll charge you zero tariffs. You charge us zero tariffs. I mean, in an ideal world, a utopia, no trade should work. Um, I think so. And then if there's a trade deficit, that has more to do with the goods available from your country and less to do with how much you're charging on tariffs. Like me, I think the EU's offer to the US is probably the best deal everybody should offer. Let's just get rid of the tariffs. What a ridiculous concept in the first place. Unless you do want to focus on just making your own products and getting by on your own resources, hell, we could do that too. So, yeah, 0 for 0 is the goal. Yeah. Ray, me and America both. I buy a lot of stupid shit too. I don't disagree. Hopefully these tariffs don't have the impact we think they're going to. Hopefully they don't impact. Hopefully you guys can still pre-order your Switches. There's no price increase on those. Hopefully it doesn't impact Wonderland Amusements Pinball. Hopefully it doesn't impact Iconic Arcade. Hopefully it doesn't impact Glenn building the FU and he can get his Kickstarter out there. That's the hope. But I did want to talk about it a little bit because it was interesting to me. Anyways, guys, I've been live for an hour and 50 minutes. I've already taken up enough of your time. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Monday night. I'll try to be back with less political talk maybe next time. Maybe it'll be more political talk. I don't really know. We'll see. I'm going to go check to see if I'm still friends with 19K Fox. And otherwise, I'll talk to you guys next week.